Sophia Nicola.
And we're going to talk about building real income streams as Christians. And we're going to talk about stewardship, we're going to talk about strategy, and even discernment.
Yeah.
Now, everyone wants financial freedom, but as Christians, we don't really chase wealth, we steward it, right? We're not supposed to chase other things, we're not supposed to serve other gods or idols, right? We're supposed to steward what the Lord has blessed us with. And if that's going above what God is to us, then we're idolizing things, right? And so we need to set the tone of what it is to be a Christian as an entrepreneur.
Yeah. And I think in today's day and age, we have to be able to have your money working for you at all times. Because if you're not, then you're essentially like missing out on um, just missing out on well you're essentially having to work even harder later on because you're now not using your money that you currently have to make more money.
Right. So, in short, we have to talk about what's going on in the marketplace. The more and more people are starting businesses that aren't Christian, the more influence they have, the more influence that the enemy has on the world. And so, what better way than to follow the call of God and steward a gift of entrepreneurship in the marketplace as a Christian? You know what I mean? And so, we have to commit everything to the Lord as whatever it may be,
Yeah.
and He's going to establish your plans.
Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't really matter exactly what you're doing. You just need to commit it to the Lord as long as you're not a stripper. If you're a stripper, then I don't know what to tell you.
You got to make sure that it's ethical, it's moral, it edifies, it lifts the Lord up, it praises.
Sorry, we're also filming this podcast at like 9 o'clock at night, and it's Thanksgiving in like 2 days, and we're just trying to, get everything done that we needed to get done. And it's like, I don't want this to be like another task, but sometimes it's like hard to record, especially when it's late at night like this.
Yeah, but I guess that's part of how, a great example of stewarding what God gave you is that no matter what's going on, you're still going to step in, you're still going to show up, and you're going to show out. You know what I mean? You're not going to just put it on the back burner just because you don't feel like it. You're just going to put it on the back burner just because, oh, well, I'm not feeling it today. You know what I mean? Because business is a ministry in the marketplace. It's not just something that you get to handle financially. It's not just something that you get to be quote unquote blessed with. It's something that you have to take seriously because it's something that's going to influence and it's something that's going to affect a lot of people over time.
Yeah. And I think the best way to start implementing that influence and getting involved in like stewarding your business is to start talking about it with people at your church and your friends and all of that. You need to be able to have conversations about your business so that people know, and walk with like in truth, in love, and the ability to serve others.
Yeah.
So
you can't cultivate something that doesn't exist or something that's not in your life. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You can't say like, oh, well, I'm gonna reap, millions of dollars, but it's like, dude, you did not do anything to get to that point.
Mm-hmm.
There's like you have to have those conversations, and so we have to take every transaction, every interaction, every conversation as though it's something to steward with God.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You have to speak in truth, like you were saying. You have to speak in love. You have to speak as though this is going to be something that draws someone closer to God, because it's so highly likely that it will. Especially as a Christian. And your business doesn't have to be like a faith forward style business.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In order to do that, it's something that can literally just change someone's perspective on things. They can walk into your shop, they can be on the phone with you, and they feel peace, the peace of God. And that's something that you can't just have ripped away from you. You know what I mean? It can be distracted and everything like that, but it can't be taken, especially in those moments.
Yeah, you just have to be able to be set apart, be set apart in everything that you're doing. So especially in your business, being able to have differences between, like noticeable differences between you and another business that's just in the world, and that's part of stewarding your business. It's part of like doing things differently. Like we have a lot of friends that, they are entrepreneurs in some sort of way. Like a lot of
Yeah.
them are, and they do their own thing, and it's like how they conduct their business is a lot different than how the world would. And, we were just talking about to one of our friends about how he should talk to another one of our friends who does, finance, because we know that that person is going to give them honest advice,
Right.
and not just want, their money, not just try to, see what they can gain in every aspect. Although, like, yes, you do want to make money, that is the goal, but it's like at the end of the day, if you're making money in a way that's just unethical and you're swindling.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you mean by unethical, because God calls us not only to create, but to cultivate and not exploit. He calls us to
Hmm.
multiply, but not to embezzle and not to
Yeah,
swindle. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And there's so many people out there. There's so many
I don't
things
like that
going on,
word.
so many courses that are like, yeah, do this and just take everybody's money because you know what? They're too stupid to realize what they're doing.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, that is so wrong.
And I think there's a
You know,
lot of scams out there in general. Scams, I feel like we've even fallen for in some aspects. Scams on, just in videos, in like reels that you see, TikToks that you see on YouTube, whatever it is. Like, there's a lot of scams out there, even with just people talking about, you can do this or you can do that, or I make this amount or whatever. And it's like, or they're driving like a Lamborghini that they like rented. They're like, stuff like that's just kind of taking advantage of people's desires,
yeah,
and then using it as a way to get people to buy something from them, when in reality it's like they're not selling, the people aren't interested in what they're selling, they're interested in their lifestyle that they're showing them.
exactly.
And so it's like,
Well, if you ever
yeah,
notice, a lot of people that sell courses that are not, you know, not for God, you know what I mean?
mhm,
Who knows what they really are, but you notice that they're making money off their course
yeah,
and they're not really using the strategy that they're selling. They're
no,
just,
they're
their
just
strategy
saying,
is just
they're just
selling it.
talking about how much they're making from that course, and like that's what's selling the course, because then
Exactly.
people are attracted to the fact that they're making so much money from the course.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, I want to make that money from the course, but in reality it's that the fact that they're making money from the course that makes that person want to buy the
Hmm.
course from them, which is like a whole mouthful of stuff. But it's like, honestly, it's worked on me before.
Yeah.
I've seen things where it's like, oh my gosh, this person's making this amount of money from this course, I need to buy it right now because I want to be able to make that money too. And it's like you buy it and you're like, well, now what? I can't market with the fact that I'm making money because I haven't made any money with this course yet. So what am I supposed to do to market? And
Exactly.
then you're just like screwed, because it's like
You feel stuck in one
you feel
spot.
stuck in one spot. You can't even, like, you have to like figure out how to even get your first sale, everything, and it's just a pain in the butt.
Yeah, and that's where we can really look at scripture and think of what the Bible really says. Like Colossians 3:23, just going to read it. It says, "Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart as working for the Lord." And Matthew 5:16 says, "Let your light shine before others that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven." And that really stands out because you really can't do that if you're just sitting in that rut. You have to
Yeah.
trust God through the process. You have to make moves. You have to study. You have to educate
Yeah.
and seek wisdom through everything, or else you are not going to go anywhere. You know what I mean? You can look.
Yeah.
You're just going to end up looking at the people that are becoming successful because they're swindling people, and you're going to look at the people who are truly successful because they're actually putting in the work and they're actually trusting God with that.
Hmm.
You know, and so if you're just sitting there like, oh yeah, I'm just waiting on the Lord, but God called you to move, you're not doing what you were called to do. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Hmm.
If God says, I have a business for you to run because
Hmm.
I know it's gonna reach something.
Yeah.
Because I want my children coming back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you say, oh well, God, I'm gonna pray about it. It's like, what do you mean, God? Like God's like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
I just told you. And it's like, yeah, people focus too much on what they gain selfishly, and we need to remember not to get to that point, because we're not supposed to exploit, but we're supposed to multiply. We're supposed to be fruitful in everything. And
Hmm.
you can't cultivate something that doesn't exist in your life.
Yeah. Well, there's also a difference, I'd say, too, going back to the conversation of like, you know, displaying income as like a marketing tactic and stuff like that. I think it's like there's certain scenarios where it's fine to
Yeah.
do that. There's certain scenarios where it's like social proof, whatever it is. But then it's like if
But if
that's
that's
your
your only
entire
one,
marketing
yeah,
strategy, it's like that's just I don't know,
shady.
shady and like not you're not displaying any actual marketing knowledge or you can't teach anybody anything because you can't even display it yourself. Like so I don't know, but I think another thing that's really important is when you are, you know, every single month when you have your business in general, even if you don't have a business yet, is tithing,
Yeah.
and praying when you tithe. I remember one of our life group leaders at, our I keep saying at our other church, they said to us, I remember in prayer, it's like open financial floodgates, you know? And I think that was like really memorable because it's true. It's like you want God to open financial floodgates for you.
Yeah.
And when you tithe, it should be, yes, you're giving this to the Lord. You're giving this as like your offering to the Lord every single month or
Yeah.
whatever you tithe every week. I don't even know what, depending on how you tithe, your 10%. But at least, I know when we pray, we try to make it a point. I mean, when we tithe, we try to make it a point to pray every single time we tithe and hope that God like multiplies like
Yeah.
what we're making from this or that. And it's like,
But on top of that, we're also like for in order for God to open the financial floodgates, you know what I mean? God could have very much opened them, but there could be things that we're doing that keep them shut. Or
yeah,
you know what I mean? He unlocked it; it's ready to go. But it's like
yeah.
if you're not stewarding something wisely, if you're squandering your finances, if you're
Bro,
not
there's
moving
so
with
many
it,
words that you say that just crack me up.
I get it. But it's like it's true though. If you're just spending all your money, like if you're spending all your money that you have, and then you're saying, God, bless me with more. It's like, God's like, no, you got to learn how to steward what you already have. I can't
Yeah,
give you more because you're just going to burn through that too, you know?
yeah,
And so those are things that we need to think of, you know what I mean? We can't
yeah.
just ask, Lord, bless my plans, You got to ask God, Lord, what's your plan? How does
Mm-hmm.
my plan fit into yours? How can you use me, God? How can you use my business as a vessel? You know?
Yeah. And that's not to say just like, like like because we were saying, oh, I'm gonna keep on praying about it. That's not right or something. It's like that is right. Like, yeah, you should pray about it, continue to pray about it. But I always like to do this like method of like continuing to walk until you hear otherwise. Like if you don't hear an immediate no or you don't hear an immediate like turn around, stop or whatever, like continue to walk and like tread lightly and with caution. But sometimes I feel like we're just supposed to get up and walk before we're and just continue to move because
Well, when your relationship with God is there, when it's strong and stable, you
yeah.
can move, and God will say, move, like, will allow you to keep moving,
Yeah.
or He'll tell you to stop. And some people are like, well, what if that's the enemy telling you to move? Well, it depends on your relationship with God,
Yeah,
honestly,
if you don't
because,
have a if you don't have a relationship with God, then you're probably not gonna know.
yeah, you
You
could very
probably won't.
much get misled by
Yeah,
Satan.
and
You
I've
know what
been
I mean?
there. Like, I used to feel like